This episode is sponsored by Realtor.com, who wants you to take advantage of your free profile on Realtor.com. By claiming and completing your free profile, adding a photo, and all of the information that puts you head and shoulders above the competition, you're on your way to receiving free leads, helping search engines find you, and staying top of mind with past clients. To learn more about claiming your free profile, go to Realtor.com/profile.
Welcome to the Real View podcast, where Ohio Realtors connect you to innovators and influencers, keeping you with the real view of real estate. Whether you're a broker, agent, first-time homebuyer, industry leader, or just happen to stumble upon our podcast today, you can expect to hear tips, tools, tricks, interesting information, and so much more from the experts in Ohio's real estate game. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Real View podcast. I am your host, Allison Wiley. Joining me today, we are going to be talking to our friends over at SentriLock. They are a long-term partner and sponsor with us at Ohio Realtors. You may remember seeing them at one of our conventions, at one of our other events. They have been around and interacting with you all now a few different times, and we are so grateful for their partnership and everything that we've been able to create with them. But I would like to welcome onto the show representatives from SentriLock, Chuck Schroder and Amy DuBose. Amy and Chuck, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Allison.
Thanks for having us.
Before we get started, I always like to hear a little bit more just about you all, about your own personal stories and experiences at the company, what you did before that. Tell us a little bit about your career paths, what's led you to where you are today, and a little bit about what you do at the company.
I can start. Chuck Schroder, been with SentriLock for almost 9 years now. Chief Technology Officer. Been in technology pretty much my whole life, I feel like, at this point. It's been a long time, I'll say as much as that. And I've been around the Cincinnati area pretty much my whole life. So stints with Procter & Gamble and GE Aerospace, Cincinnati Bell. And again, landed here at SentriLock about 9 years ago and enjoying every minute of it.
Amy, what about you?
I have been with SentriLock for almost 2 years. I am now the product manager for our SentriKey showing service. Before coming to SentriLock, I was actually a Realtor Association executive, CEO, folk for almost 16 years here in Texas. And I know a lot of the association executives, and they're friends of mine in the Ohio associations there. So it's really great to be on this side of it as well. And it's a great industry to be a part of.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you probably just bring so much knowledge and expertise with that. You understand, what our realtor members are going through on an everyday basis. You understand their needs, their challenges, where, some of that lies within our industry. So that's really great. And Chuck, so much of the technology side of things and how that plays into what our realtors' needs and wants are. So we're going to be diving into all of that and learning a little bit more, about this product and some of the benefits that it can bring to our Ohio realtors. So tell us just maybe a little bit about the company as a whole, kind of, what you all do, how you can be a partner to Ohio's realtors, and share with us a little bit about the company's, missions and goals and what it stands for.
So SentriLock is 20 years old this year, which is really, really cool to look back, and especially for myself, only being here for a couple of years now, to look back and see exactly where things have gone in the last 20 years and all of the iterations of the lockboxes and all of the new services and everything that we're bringing in. And, one of the great things about SentriLock is we're owned by the National Association of Realtors. We fully invest back into our realtor members. We are huge supporters of the industry, with whether it's the Realtor Relief Foundation or it's RPAC, or Beverly Carter Foundation. We really are like a true industry partner and are really proud of that place that we take in kind of that a higher echelon of those who are really supporting realtors and the organizations that they're a part of.
That's really awesome. And what a great commitment that you've made, to our industry, and just having that passion to want to give back and want to be a part of it is really special. Chuck, what do you think from your perspective? Is there anything you'd like to kind of add around the company as a whole?
I think Amy makes a great point of our investment back in the industry and part of our focus and innovation. Being even an NAR company here, we give choice to our realtors. We want to provide them with the best possible experience. And certainly through the years, even in my time here, how quickly changes have come along, particularly in technology and the needs of agents. And we recognize that. We want to be part of that community that helps people do their jobs and do them extremely well.
That's just so important. And for maybe our listeners who aren't super familiar, with your products and some of the things that you offer to us, could you guys kind of give a little overview and insight into, the different products and services that you offer and how it can be of benefit to our members?
As Amy mentioned earlier, we are celebrating our 20th year this year. To think back, we're on our 4th generation of Lockbox at this point. So, and we still have people interested in the field out there still using our Gen 1 and Gen 2 boxes, which should speak to the, again, our commitment and level of quality and support to the agent. And so Lockbox will always be our core. It's what drives that access, that security. And we know how important that is to the listing agent and their sellers. And we'll continue to focus on that piece. But we have looked outside that recently, just a little less than 2 years ago, launched our showing service. And, that came about as a number of different circumstances that occurred in the industry. And, kind of a bit of a nudge from the parents was like, hey, that's a space that we can get into. We've been asked to get into the showing space for years and years before we did that, but we didn't want to do it unless it was meaningful. And so we put a lot of time into understanding what it is that agents are looking for in brokers, and launched just a little less than 2 years ago. And we'll continue to invest in that product. We do that on a monthly basis at this point, obviously bringing Amy on board here as the product manager to help kind of guide and direct that with her knowledge of what it is that brokers, agents, even association members are looking for in that type of product. We'll continue to invest in that. And we're looking at other spaces. We have an area within all of our product lines we call our customer advisory board. And those customer advisory boards are made up of members out into the associations and MLSs that want to take part and help provide us guidance in where we should look to invest, because they know best. They live it every single day. And who better to get advice from than the people that kind of do it every day and know where it is that you can help them. And so we try and get a lot from them as well, too.
Yeah, I love that you're constantly kind of looking for that feedback and really making sure the people that are using your products are the ones you're listening to as you think about, what you're developing and how it can be best of use. I think that's really important and really cool. Tell us about kind of the Lockbox and maybe like the version that's out now, that version 4, and some of the features that it offers and what makes it really kind of stand out from other competitors.
One of the focuses that we had is the ease of opening and access. We want to maintain the security side, which I think from a rating perspective, ours is, if not the most secure in the world, one of the most secure in the world through global testing that we do. But we also understand the need for ease of use and quick access. A big thing we focused on as part of it, we incorporated NFC. And if you're familiar with near field communication at all, most people would associate it with things like a hotel card they put up to the door or maybe their Apple Pay. We've incorporated that into it because, again, we know, talking to agents, that's one of the things that they mentioned when we were in development for it. They always talk about the conversation starters they have to have while waiting on the doorstep, waiting for the box to open. And when we did this, it was interesting. We would take it out to people like, okay, everybody prepare your conversations, looking at the landscaping or the soffits or the neighborhood general stuff. Begin the process of preparing that conversation. And as we were going through it with them and showed them, I mean, our box opens in a matter of seconds, 2 to 3 seconds kind of thing. So as soon as you establish that, and near field communication can really speed that up. We certainly still incorporate our Bluetooth as we have in all of our previous boxes. But with an NFC, it's just a very, very quick and easy way for the agents to get into the property.
Yeah, I love that. I know at the past convention we just had in Cincinnati, you all were there and had the product, and we were able to kind of play around with it a little bit and see how it works. And just some of the features that I played around with that day, it really was super quick, super easy to use. I mean, the fact that it hooks up to your phone, I mean, I loved that, that an agent could unlock it, from anywhere if they needed to. I thought that was really cool too. Is that kind of some of the technology that you guys are focusing on, or what can we kind of see into the future of the technology for this sort of product? What is that going to look like?
I think we want to look at being proactive. It's we have on our product today, we have a key missing feature that people use. So if a showing agent makes it out to the property, they open the key bin and there's not one there. Well, from that, we can text automatically or send the information of who the previous showing agent was that may have, accidentally taken that with them. And that's worked very well for agents in the past, but it's not proactive. And so we're trying to find a way proactively to get out in front of that. And so we're looking at a key missing feature where it's actually through a magnet and through that communication of the box to the actual agents that's on site there, and maybe using, potential geofencing or things like that could tell them like, hey, you still have that key. You might want to take it back and return that so the next agent has it available to them. And we're looking at some beacon technology things as well too. How can we make people aware of people at the properties when they're there? If it's maybe even engaging a client, we're kind of exploring that. Maybe, I don't know if it'll be something we develop. We'll do it through partnerships, but we're looking for a way to actually engage the client. Again, all ways to make things easier for the agent while they're out on the property.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. It's kind of like when you leave your AirPods somewhere in your phone. If you leave your AirPods at home and you get that notification, hey, you've left your AirPods behind. That could be, something similar from what you're describing. Like, hey, you're taking the key with you. Don't take it back. That's cool.
We actually have a few folks on our sales team that put the air tags inside their lock boxes. So if their bag gets lost, they can actually pick up the location of the bag with the air tag, because they put it in the lock box so it doesn't get all shuffled around and thrown all over the inside of the bag. And they just put it inside the lock box. And I can always tell where my bag's at because of the air tag that's inside my lock box.
Oh, that's so funny. I love that.
Allison, I can also speak to the showing service side too, as far as kind of what, what's coming up with the work that we're doing. So we're working pretty diligently right now to kind of change the user interface, the whole experience of being in the system. And Lockbox is doing a lot of that as well, but just improving the overall process of here's how you step by step do something, and it's going to be smooth. It's going to have a really modern feel and look to it. It's going to provide more functionality for office staff. We have a whole office dashboard we're currently working on. And then there's a great broker kind of analytics tool that we're working with as well to provide great graphs and reporting that brokers can pull up to be able to see this is what's happening with our showings. This is how many showings we had this month. Our close rate is X percentage. Our year over year for, the number of closings we had is here. And doing some price comparison work as well with some of our MLS data that we're going to get, getting from our customers. And so just providing a really robust experience so that when they go in, they feel like that the product's giving them more than just showing and more than just scheduling something. It's actually giving them all those extra steps of data that's going to help, continuously build their business and kind of enrich what they're doing on a daily basis.
This episode of The Real View is brought to you by the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. Ohio's network of community colleges provides accessible training that accommodates the busy lifestyles of aspiring real estate professionals at half the price of a traditional university. With convenient locations in every part of the state, as well as online options, Ohio's community colleges are your smart choice for pre-licensing education. For more details or to start the journey to a real estate career, visit the education page at ohiorealtors.org and then click on the pre-license course locations. our brokers and agents are always going to be interested in is that data. I mean, that is so important. It helps drive decisions. It helps drive, the future choices that, our brokers and agents are going to make. So that sounds like that's going to be a really great product and something I know, our members are going to be interested in. And when you guys are out and meeting, and especially in your experiences, what are some of the things that you hear, from, our realtors that, what are some of the challenges that they're facing? How can you all help kind of relieve some of the challenges that they face? And what are kind of some of those biggest stories or things that you hear as you're out and talking to our realtors as to what, their needs are specifically when it comes to your product?
I can say through conversations, and I'll use one as an example, if that's okay, Allison. It was compelling. It was one of those where we had a group of agents together, and one was talking about just how they've constantly tethered to their phone on just they can't not ever step away, and the idea of trying to have an anniversary dinner and the story that she gave us was she was kind of working on the spaghetti art with her kindergartner at the table, and she had a whole itinerary full of appointments with a family on that coming Saturday, and she probably had 7 appointments, and one of them went pending. And it was like right in the middle. And she's like, what do I do with this? And for her is having to get up from that table and miss that time of working with her son on his art project and then start the rescheduling process. And you start to realize the taxing nature that can become on an agent out there that are trying to do their job. And again, they want to serve their clients as best they can. And these are a group of dedicated folks, and stepping away from a kitchen table to work on the, spaghetti art project with her son, to have to come back after hours of doing that with them and then realizing, her husband stepped in or she just missed it altogether and maybe her son got up from the table. I don't really remember how it ended, but she missed the opportunity to have that time with her son. And it was one of those kind of stories that stuck with me. Like, we've got to find better ways to do things to help our agents that are out there. It's probably the biggest driver that we have behind our SAM product. It's kind of our virtual assistant. To reschedule 3 or 4 properties, does that really take an agent to do? Why can't they push a button and just have it do that for them? Move this one to that space or slide them all up and maximize my time with these clients that we have. Imagine giving her that opportunity to push 2 buttons to say yes, reschedule, and go right back to it. And it really is a big driver for what it is that we do. And we are focused on that client, that agent experience, because we know it's not an easy thing to do. We've had agents in our office explaining a day in the life for them and what that means, how many products that they're in a day. The fact that they market themselves, they sell themselves, they prospect for themselves, they're their own accountants. They do it all. And we'd like to think that we can make our services, our products, our technology something they don't really have to think much about. And it'll be a continual driver for us into the future.
That's awesome to hear. And I love that point that you just made that, our members are doing so much on an everyday basis. They're in so many different systems and apps and posting stuff here and writing contracts here. And just, it's endless, all of the day-to-day tasks. And if there's ever a way, that there's a product out there that exists that can help with that. And like you said, just don't think about it. It's gonna, be there and it'll help you save some of that time to focus on, bigger things that you need to be focusing on. I mean, I don't know any of our agents who wouldn't be all over that and have that be something of interest to them. I think that's really important and really a great feature and something that I know you all are putting quite a bit of emphasis and focus on. So I think that's really fantastic to hear.
On the sales side of it too, I was on the sales team for the first couple of years here. And one of the things that we heard the most, especially folks who were with, a competitor of ours, they don't have a keypad, is that they were getting tired of having to babysit processes and babysit boxes. If they had someone who wanted to go into a property, maybe they're an agent that's not a member of their MLS or association, they'd have to often just drive to meet them because the way that they access with our competitor, it's really difficult. There's a waiting period. There's a lot of moving parts to it. And they really love the fact that they could have one lockbox on a property. It's got a keypad. We've had sellers who've locked themselves out of their houses, and their listing agent will generate a code for them so that they can get a key out of the box so they can get into the house and not be locked out. There's a lot less like that kind of running around back and forth. And especially if you're areas that are, larger areas or more resort driven or, just kind of even more rural in a lot of ways too. Like there's a lot of running around. There's a lot of driving that realtors do. And so if you provide them these options so that they have all of these different ways they can provide access to a box in one box instead of having to piggyback boxes together, it just adds so much to, the efficiencies in general of the time that they're going to get back and the fact they don't have to worry about it so much. They can do everything from their phone and grant the access that they need. It just makes things so much easier, way more streamlined, and it gives them back that time that's so precious, to them to be able to spend their family or go to a church meeting or coach their kids' baseball team, those types of things.
So amazing that, as I mentioned before, that you guys focus on that and see the value in that too. What is your own personal favorite features of the product and what you guys do? What's your thing that you are really proud of or that you love to tell people about? And we may have already covered it, but I think if there's anything else out there, that is your personal favorites that you love, or maybe any of your favorite success stories of some of our agents, though, the one that you just described, with the broker unlocking it for the agent, what is some of your favorite success stories and favorite things about the product and what you guys do?
There's a lot to probably pick from, honestly, Allison. I think one that's probably maybe that means a lot to us and not to be cliche or maybe because it's Agent Safety Month kind of thing. But, I think when we were asked to invest in something like that, our partnership we have with Carl Carter and the Beverly Carter Foundation, I think the landscape changed so much. The days of having a referral of somebody, it was your, Amy's scenario was a soccer coach's wife that was a real estate agent, or it was your neighbor that he was an agent. There was always some connection 1 to 2 degrees away from that. And technology advances things and sometimes for the good, sometimes, you have to kind of innovate and find ways around it. And I think what's out there today, between all the websites of finding properties out there for consumers, they're reaching out to agents they don't know or have never heard of. And, they're going to get, it's not a service thing, but to have a comfort as a real estate agent to say, yeah, that's right, Amy referred them to me and she's a neighbor of mine, or she's our kid's school teacher. And so I know this person, I have some connection there. I think agents having today and the numbers, and I can't remember the percentage that are referrals versus what they were something like 15 years ago, but I think it's like half at least of what it was, if not more, to have them be able to go out to a property somewhere and have at least something to be able to reach out to somebody to say, hey, I'm in trouble. I need some help. I think is a really big deal. And I know there's a lot of products on the market today. Again, we don't charge for ours. Again, it's just part of the base service. I just think that's a really important one to have.
Yeah, so important. And I know, as you mentioned, Realtor Safety Month, and that's something here at Ohio Realtors, we are really going to start putting an emphasis on is just that safety factor and how agents can keep themselves, safe while they're on the job. So we love any sort of technology or products that exist out there that can help with this, because it's such an important thing and something that we should all have at the top of our minds is how can we be more safe and more aware while we're on the job. Amy, what about you? What's some of your favorite features or things that you do or favorite stories?
Well, I got to tell you, Chuck just swooped in and took my agent safety one. Because I just honestly, that's a part of my product that I just have such a deep kind of, it's like an emotional connection to, you know what I mean? Because I have friends who are realtors. Obviously, I worked with realtors for a long time. I still do. And having something like that in place just says, hey, we care about you as a person. Like, you're not just a dollar figure. You're not just like an account number. Like, we care about you as a person. I actually accidentally set mine off whenever I was working with an association executive a few years ago. And my husband called me and he goes, so I'm pretty sure you're in Atlanta right now, but I want to make sure everything's okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But I was able to demonstrate that it works exactly the way it's supposed to. But we actually we started an industry webinar series this year that's been really well received. And we did one last Thursday with Tracy Hawkins and Carl Carter, and they were talking about the 2023 agent safety study that came out. And SentriLock is mentioned a few times in there, just as, tools that are available to you. And, those who are using our agent safety tool and the product, how kind of all of that plays into things and how we need to make a continuous effort to make sure that folks are safe out in the field and everything. And then, of course, on the showing service side, I love the intelligence that's built into the system and the way that it's been done. So the intelligence has been done so smartly that it's true, but it sounds it's a funny play on words. But just kind of the overall, really keeping in mind the way that agents work and what they need and making it as easy as possible to build those itineraries out, to move things around, to shuffle if you need to. I was on a demo last week and we were showing them, hey, here's how you build an itinerary. And as soon as you put a second address, third address in, you could see it on the screen. It actually swapped the two addresses for you because it made the most sense for the route that you were going to have to drive. Doing things like that, trying to incorporate that, itinerary aspect into calculating your mileage and those types of things. Those are really important for realtors. It's one of the things they should probably struggle with is all the requirements around taxes and what they have to do to get, credit and all of these different things and what write-offs are and what they can't be and all those different moving parts. So, anything that we can do with the intelligence to kind of help that. One of the things I really love about that side of our product.
You're right. So important. And it's just another thing that our realtors have to keep track of. I mean, who's worried about keeping track of their mileage when they're trying to sell a home? You know what I mean? There's so much other stuff that they have to be focused on and that they need to be worried about instead of just dealing about their mileage. So that's so important and such a cool feature that's already going to be taken care of for them. That's just one less thing, as we mentioned before, that they are going to have to worry about, and just really streamlining the process and making it so simple so that our agents can focus, on their clients and doing what they do best. And that is buying and selling homes. What is the best way to learn more information about the product, to reach out to you guys, to start using the product, to experience a little bit more about what you guys offer for our members and agents who maybe aren't using the product or are interested in wanting to learn more? What is the best way for them to do that?
Our website's kind of the first stop. It's going to be SentriLock.com. Beyond that, we have, pretty active social media presence as well. Our marketing team is awesome, and they're always rolling out, whether it's, hey, welcome to the team, association who just joined us, or it's really on the deeper side as far as functionality or sharing, blog posts or sharing resources from NAR. They're posting a lot. For folks who maybe are in an association who aren't using SentriLock, if you're really passionate about this, we always tell people the most important place you can start is with your peers who are on your board of directors at your association or MLS. You want to talk with the people who are making the decisions to say, we understand this job is really hard for y'all, but we really feel passionate about this product because X, Y, Z. We're really fortunate because we have a pretty good presence in Ohio, but there's always opportunities there to continue to grow and provide our services within different marketplaces and even outside the state. I mean, there are certain areas that cross border, and they work really hard to make sure that they're providing the best services. So that conversation is really an important place to start, is really with kind of the leadership that would be in charge of making those decisions.
Always good to start there. And I know we do have incredible leadership throughout Ohio. And I know they're always open to new ideas and to learning more, if there's something out there that's going to help our agents, be better at their jobs. So definitely check out that website. I was on there a little bit earlier today. It has tons of great resources and great demos. You can see everything that, Amy and Chuck have shared with us today. So much great information on there. And we hope to see you guys at another Ohio Realtors event soon. I hope that you'll be joining us here in the near future to learn and meet with our agents a little bit more. And we look forward to having you guys with us again real soon.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, Allison.
And to all of our listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll be back with you next week. Thank you for listening to The Real View. That wraps up today's episode. You can keep up with the latest on the podcast at ohiorealtors.org/therealview and on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Have questions, comments, or suggestions? We want to hear from you. Email us at podcast@ohiorealtors.org. We'll see you next time.